This is just a video regarding maintenance of your bait boat battery and also the battery for your remote as well, just to ensure that you get the most amount of life out of it as you can. And it is one of our most commonly asked questions and something that is rather important regarding the longevity of the actual life of the batteries themselves. So first things first, when you receive your bait boat or your spare battery for your bait boat, first thing is to make sure that it's on charge. Don't leave it unattended on charge. Do make sure that you are about whilst it's on charge. It can be left for a small period of time. You don't have to be with it at all times, but it's highly recommended that you are about. There is a little red LED indicator on the charger that will indicate when the battery is on charge, and that battery indicator will then turn green for the battery when it is fully charged. On the remotes, they have a little LED indicator as well. Now, when it's on charge, these LED indicators tend to flash, and when it's on full charge, it will hold a steady colour. This colour does vary depending on which remote you have. Some of them hold a steady red and some of them hold a steady green colour. One most critical important part regarding the charging of your remote is to ensure that you're using the correct plug socket. I will attach a picture to show which type of socket you should use, and it must be a 5 volt 1 amp hour socket, commonly used on the iPhone chargers, the older type, the triangle shape, not the newer type that is the USB-C plug. To be able to tell the level of charge in the remote whilst in use, you can press the on-off button just once and it will beep for each 25% of battery that it has. So it will beep up to 4 times for 100%, 3 times for 75, 2 times for 50% and 1 time for 25% or below. Needless to say, we don't recommend to allow them to get this low, just in case it does power off whilst in use, which is not recommended. In regards to the boat, they do have a LED battery indicator on the lid, and this LED indicator is relative to load. So for example, you could send it out on 70%, and whilst out on the water with some resistance, that probably will drop. So we do recommend to not let them drop below 50% when in use, just in case that does also cut out. We also recommend to keep the batteries topped up on charge as well. So if you come back from a trip, for example, we recommend to put it on charge as soon as possible and don't allow them to discharge too far. They do have a safety protection board to prevent them from discharging too low, so they can always be charged back up, but needless to say, it's recommended to keep them charged up as much as possible. It is a good piece of advice also to allow them to discharge at certain times, so we recommend about once every 6 months or so to discharge the battery as much as possible, whether that be for using the boat, or if you'd rather not take that gamble, you can actually use one of these, which is one of our USB conversion leads. So this will plug into the battery and allow a USB port out on the other end, so you can actually charge your phone, for example, with this. And that is a good handy bit of kit to have. If you have 2 batteries for your boat, so you have one that came with and a spare one, for example, we recommend to swap and change them as much as possible. Otherwise, when not in use, they can often discharge and it will affect the actual performance of the battery itself. The last thing to cover really is just storage, which is one of the most common issues. There's 2 most common issues that we get, which is storage and also lack of use. So we do recommend to try and use the batteries where possible. And lastly, regarding storage, do not keep it somewhere cold and damp, like your garage or your shed or in the tackle bag. We do recommend where possible, keep them indoors if you can, and this will massively improve the performance of the battery.